Thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2. It's a great day to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Let's jump right in. So Pat McAfee goes to Pittsburgh Steelers training camp. He has Coach Tomlin on. The crowd absolutely goes crazy with a warm and crazy welcome for Coach Tomlin. This is the happiest that I've seen Coach Tomlin since he won the Super Bowl. That is just my opinion. You know, you have to give Coach Tomlin a lot of credit for one thing. Coach Tomlin's humility sealed the deal for Aaron Rodgers to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. I've said this over and over and over again. In 2025, the most important quality you could have for a football coach, as a football coach, is to have humility and treat the players like people. And sometimes this works against Coach Tomlin because he's a little bit too nice for his own good. But you have to remember, this is 2025. This isn't 1990. The players today, they're so soft, most of them, they can't even make it through a practice without listening to music. You can't be just so rough or military-like because you could be the greatest X's and O's guy in today's game. You could have every game plan. You could have the best players. And guess what? If you're a total dick that the players don't like, they'd rather lose the whole season than win for you. That's how these younger people are programmed. So I don't want to hear that Coach Tomlin's humility is not a big factor in his coaching ability, because it is. It's a big deal. It's such a big deal. I think people just, for the most part, just throw it out the window. Oh, he's a football coach. He has to be a hard ass, et cetera, et cetera. No, because if he was a hard ass and he acted like Aaron Glenn did with Aaron Rodgers says, you know what? F this. I'm retired. I'm going to hang out in Malibu, California, and do my thing. And the Pittsburgh Steelers would be in deep, deep trouble right now. So let's jump into the video, and I'll go from there.
A future Hall of Famer, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. My father.
What's up, Coach? How you doing?
I'm sweating my ass off. I appreciate you.
Who gets it? Yeah, who gets it?
I love the reception that Coach Tomlin got.
Coach, you can use this one if you want to. Coach, first of all, thank you so much for stopping by.
Man, how do you not love that?
I know, it's real. It's very real. When you were hired as a head coach 45 years ago, you look the exact same. Shout out. I guess cliches are real in certain things.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, that is.
Okay, I got to explain this for anybody that doesn't know. When he said cliches are real, he said, Coach Tomlin, you look exactly the same from when the Steelers hired you 45 years ago. And the cliche is, I don't want to hear you're insulted or I'm a racist. The cliche is, black doesn't crack. That's what McAfee's telling Coach Tomlin. And Coach Tomlin, laughing, he knows what it is. This is what I love about Coach Tomlin. Acts like a human being, has humility, and it would be like if we bumped into him, it'd be like talking just to a friend that you haven't seen in a long time. This is his best quality as a coach. And don't think it doesn't matter.
That is a real thing. I've aged, like a grape over the last few years. You knew what Pittsburgh was. Stupid. I think you knew what it was. But the way you have embraced this city, we see you at Penguins games. I think you're even stopping by Pirates games. I feel like you call yourself a Yinzer and consider yourself a Yinzer. What is it like to be a part of this every single year? And is it like a perspective putter about how great these fans are every training camp?
I'll tell you this. First, it never gets old. I have the same level of excitement that I had in 2007, probably even more so, to be quite honest with you. I love being a Pittsburgher, man. My kids grew up in Pittsburgh. They call Pittsburgh home. I'm proud to call it home. I drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that Kool-Aid, you understand the city. You understand the expectations. I'm not going to say anything you probably don't know.
When's the last time you heard a coach talk like that in the NFL? He goes to the hockey games, goes to baseball games. You could tell, as much as we love the team as fans, the head coach loves the team. And I love that. And for that alone, I want him to be the coach forever. He just has to change sometimes. You know, bring in some different coordinators, roll with the times. I don't care if Coach Tomlin coaches until he's 100 years old. It doesn't bother me. But we just need to change things up when things aren't working.
Got loud there for a little bit. And obviously you were asked by Kyle Brandt about winning, having a winning record every single year. And you had a great line, something along the lines like these guys were in baby seats, I think, whenever they were in car seats, whenever you were growing up. It did get a little bit loud. Do you hear that stuff? Do you block it out? How much does that affect your day-to-day life or how you go about your business?
You know, I hear it, but I don't because, you know, I'm here to win. You know, I share the same sentiment, the same level of pissed offness. You know, that's just who I am. And so, like, I don't take it personally. It's motivation for me. I'm here to deliver for them.
Omar Khan, vastly different than Colbert, seemingly from the outside looking in. What are your thoughts on it? Because Tone and I have chit-chatted about how this is so abnormal. First of all, you're not going to like that this is going to happen because it was probably a very difficult decision because you know the person personally. We just mentioned it. You firing a coordinator mid-season never happened in the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers, okay? That was a big conversation for us. In the offseason, free agency, never really a thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This year, making moves, bringing in, obviously, Aaron Rodgers, who you texted for a couple of months. How does it feel this way of doing things versus maybe what it had always been with the Pittsburgh Steelers?
You know, I'm not resistant to change. I don't think you can do what I've done as long as I can do it, being resistant to change. And so I try to be open to doing things differently, to taking a different approach. It's refreshing for me. I'm excited by it. Certainly made moves that we deem necessary in the effort to position ourselves to be what they need and want us to be.
Yeah, hell yeah. AJ has a question for you, Coach.
Coach, Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, obviously you're back in. Like, let's say for Jalen, I've heard you guys call him like the Swiss Army knife. He can do anything. What is he going to bring to the defense? For me, as a fan of watching, I love physical corners, and they obviously can play every position back there. But I love dudes that can get picks and are physical and not scared to tackle, and they seem to thrive in that role. And I feel like he's going to be very physical here.
There's no question, man. He brings a demeanor, man, that's contagious. His versatility, obviously, you guys will see today.
The Steelers, since the beginning, since 1933, the team thrives off an energy and a certain type of play that's violent. And when I feel that Minka Fitzpatrick, not that he doesn't have the ability to play that anymore, he was trying to not hurt his team by getting penalties. And sometimes you just got to take risks and be fearless and play with that edge, and whatever happens, take the fines, take a penalty a game. And I think when you look at the film, when I really analyze it and think about it, I think Minka wasn't playing with that edge, and Jalen Ramsey is, and that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers need, and that's why he's wearing the black and gold.
Hey, but his attitude, his approach to business, man, his professionalism, like, this guy's as impressive in the classroom as he is on the grass, man. I've been blown away by his approach to the business.
That's awesome. D-Bot has a question for you, Coach.
Yeah, Coach, you've been here obviously a very, very long time. We've all been in locker rooms, and now we're in the media now, and sometimes you'll say, oh, maybe that coach is, and I've heard it now, maybe that the words are getting stale with the team. How do you keep it fresh? How do you evolve when you are the leader in the face of a franchise and standing in front of those guys for such a long time? Cam was here 15 years, TJ 9. Like, how do you do that? That's a tough thing to do.
You know, for me, I try not to focus on me.
I mean, I know he's a media guy. He has to ask that question, but he loves football. So you can't – it's easy every year to get ready for football when you love football. He just said it before. It doesn't get old. I understand he has a job to do and he's trying to ask Coach Tomlin to explain himself, but it's pretty self-explanatory.
To be honest with you, my job is to be what they need me to be, and their needs are ever-changing. Because of the makeup of the group changes, the places they are in their careers as individuals. And so for me, I probably avoid being stale, at least from my perception, just by simply focusing on being what they need me to be and working to meet their needs.
Gotcha.
Ty has a question for you, Coach.
Coach, Pat mentioned it a little bit earlier. What was that kind of recruiting process like with Rodgers? We've had him on the show several times, or, for the last several years, and he always talked about how much respect he had for you, and kind of we've seen the clips of you giving him that rise.
Yeah, you guys winking at each other.
Calling the timeout when he was trying to maybe get you. But what was that recruiting process like?
They got a Bro-Mance going on.
It was kind of a bromance, you know what I mean?
Oh, I didn't know you. Hold on.
For me, man,
I didn't watch this beforehand. I didn't know he was going to say that. We got a Bro-Mance. I had no clue he was going to say
I
that.
was just excited to get to know the guy on a personal level. And so that's how I viewed it. Man, we had some cool and interesting conversations about football, about life, about where he is in his career and what he was potentially looking for. I slow roasted it, if you will, man. I didn't try to microwave it because I didn't feel like that would be effective anyway. And so I just enjoyed getting.
Maybe Coach Tomlin took psychology in college. That's why he knows how to deal with today's players. I need to look into that. I need to look into Coach Tomlin, what he was doing besides playing football at William and Mary.
Know him over the course of those conversations, and I just felt like if we did it and did it consistently and lay a nice foundation for our relationship when we started working together.
What are your expectations for him as a human? Did you lay all that out as a player, as a guy in the locker room? Do you have all those conversations? And why was Aaron the guy that you wanted for this particular team?
Just through our conversations, man, he expressed his desires, and they are in alignment with mine. And so those come to Jesus conversations weren't even necessary, man. He's here and here in a mindset that's aligned with us. He's here and here to win a world championship for this group. And he wants to impart wisdom and share his experiences with young players, man, and give back to the game. And so that's just a beautiful place to be, and those guys are good guys to work with.
We were on the plane earlier today, flying in, high and high, just thinking about it all, Aaron, when he went to the Jets, we talked about this. Any legend that starts at a new place, a lot of brand new eyes watching you for the first time. Your practice habits, how you do in practice, how you go about operating, how you communicate. You got to reprove yourself. Aaron doing that for a first ballot Hall of Famer, I assume, is something that has driven him in these practices. For you too, though, with Aaron, is there a similar thought like, hey, this is Aaron's first time experiencing my shit as a head coach too? Because there's rarefied air that you two are breathing that not a lot of people in the history of football breathe. I
like the responsibility of having to deliver for him. You know what I mean? Just the energy and the charge I get for preparing messaging and things of that nature. But not only him, but guys like Jalen Ramsey and other veterans.
See, I love that he said that, because and no NFL coach is going to say this. They're never going to admit they get a great star player, and he's like, I got to step up my game and be a better coach because I want to prove to Aaron Rodgers that I'm a good coach. When's the last time you heard a coach talk like that? Let me know.
Guys, man, I'm sensitive to the delivering of the message, man, and making sure they understand how we go about our business, the things we value, and how they can be a part of it.
Is there any shit he's done yet that make you go, oh, okay, yeah, that's the Aaron Rodgers that's the guy? Is there any of that?
Hey, I like the no-look passes, man. We've seen a couple of those just about every day. But, man, the way he interacts with the defensive leadership, man, the way he competes with them and challenges them, it's a breath of fresh air, man. We just feel like we're going to be positioned to be really good because of that iron on iron, that competitive spirit, the things that are happening day to day, man, and he's a central part of that.
On that note, Tone has a question for you.
Yeah, Coach, with all due respect to everyone who has played quarterback since 7, they're a Steeler, so we love them forever. But does it feel different when you look across and you see 8? Kaboli said this is the most crowded it's been in the last 15 years here, it felt like to him. But, so it feels different to the fans. Does it feel different to you when you look over and you're like, okay, since Ben, that's Aaron Rodgers?
You're damn right it does. It feels pretty good, too.
Yeah, bet.
Just the possibilities, right, man. To have a guy like that, man, in your huddle, in your locker room, a part of your group, it certainly gives us all great confidence.
Yeah.
And Coach Tomlin is smart enough and put his ego to the side and have humility with Aaron and be like, hey, listen, what do you want to do? Let's go. Let me know what you want to do. A lot of coaches, they'll get a star like Aaron Rodgers and they have all these insecurities, and then they get a star player and they want to prove like, I'm still the coach. And there's all this. Todd Haley used to do this all the time with Big Ben. There was always friction. You know why? Because Todd Haley had an ego. He just couldn't put it to the side and be like, I'm dealing with a superstar quarterback. Let me ask him what he wants to do. There is no doubt in my mind that Coach Tomlin will handle Aaron Rodgers that way.
I'm trying to remember one of your every Hard Knocks was awesome.
Yes.
I want to let you know that. I think
yeah.
we talked about it while it was happening, about all the good shit that you were giving away for free, basically. We were hearing motivational speeches just being dropped, gems being dropped. People would write books with
One-liners.
all of the one-liners that you were doing. Are we coming up with those still every single day? Is there new shit coming out? Is there more Tomlinisms? Or is it all basically like a pool that you kind of pull from, if that makes sense?
I don't chase it. It just kind of happens.
Of course. Yeah, there's one right there, brother. Yeah,
You can make a T-shirt out of that, Steeler T-shirt. I don't chase it. It just kind of happens. I put the 7 Super Bowl rings.
is bar after bar after bar. I wish I got a chance to play for you. You told me in warm-ups, I'm going to get you when you're old and cheap.
Damn right I did.
Did you have those conversations with Aaron, too, throughout his career?
I wish I had. I wish maybe I'd have got him sooner.
All right, have a great practice. We appreciate you. Congrats on all the success. These people love you, man.
Thank you, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Mike Tomlin.
Tomlin.
Good luck. You should.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you. Appreciate you, Coach.
Ladies and
Well, there you have it. Again, you got to give Coach Tomlin credit for Aaron Rodgers coming to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He could have easily packed it in. He only came because of Coach Tomlin. You don't have to like what I'm saying, but it doesn't matter to me because that's the truth. My 2 biggest issues with Coach Tomlin are this, and I could be totally wrong. I didn't like it that Dick LeBeau was let go. And I always feel that every coaching decision every decision comes from Coach Tomlin. I'd love to just talk to him one day, but can you please explain to me what happened exactly word for word, why Coach LeBeau was let go? And then last year with Russell Wilson, when he's struggling heavily, why Coach Tomlin just left him in and never brought in Justin Fields? That's it. That's my biggest problems with Coach Tomlin. As far as a person, a human being, the type of players that he has to deal with today, these are different types of young people. You could say one thing to them and it's like the end of the world. So you always hear people say, fire Coach Tomlin, fire Coach Tomlin. Well, let me know who you think should replace him. Because dealing with today's players and a certain brand of football that you have to play in Pittsburgh and a certain way you have to practice with today's players, if you brought in a guy if you brought in Coach Knoll today, Coach Knoll was necessary when the Steelers were struggling when they brought him in. They weren't good at the basics, the fundamentals of football. They needed an uptight, square kind of guy that was kind of, I don't want to say military-like, but he didn't have too much of a personality. That worked then. My favorite coach will always be Bill Cowher for one reason. That's who I grew up with as a kid. So seeing him on the sidelines with that chin and the emotion and the intensity of the stadium, that will always be in my mind. But for today's players, the way they are and how soft they are sometimes mentally, for big giants, there's a lot of them are soft. And this type of stuff that you got to deal with, if anybody wants to argue with me, it's going to be hard to be it's going to be hard for me to believe that there'd be so many guys better than Coach Tomlin. I think that Pete Carroll does a great job of this also. Coach Tomlin and Pete Carroll, to me, personality-wise, are similar in a lot of ways. If I had to play for 2 coaches in the NFL, I'd want to play for Coach Tomlin or Coach Carroll for a lot of different reasons. And with that being said, thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2.